In Season Nevada here, coming at you with how to build a draw strategy. Now, this is an example for a resident in Nevada like myself, but you can build a draw strategy with this grid system in pretty much any state, and even if you're an out-of-stater, this grid system is just going to get more complicated and bigger the more applications that you put in the variety of different states that you put in for. So, with that being said, I'm going to go over a draw strategy, assuming that somebody started putting it in 2023, 2024, and that in 2025 they have 2 bonus points. If that is not you, that is okay. If you are putting in for the first time in 2025, just delay it by 2 years and spend the next 2 years networking, going to wildlife conservation projects, and helping people pack out elk. Because by the time you actually are likely to draw a bull elk tag, you're going to want to have friends that can help you pull out a bull elk off that mountain. So, with that being said, I'm going to cover up some of this data to make this a little bit simpler. See, we have values here of some of the most popular hunts that are going to be a part of our draw strategy in the year 2025. So, horn shorter than ears antelope, we say that with 2 points, you have about 50-50 odds of drawing. And once you have about 50-50 odds of drawing, that hunt is going to be on our radar. For mule deer, we're going to say that's about 3 years. For cow elk, it's about 4 years. For spike elk, it's about 5 points. Sorry, not years. Horn shorter than ears antelope, that's going to be 5 years. And bull elk, that's going to be 7 years. And these are for the areas that I put in for, right? And how I like to stagger my hunts. You see, you could lower all of these numbers by putting in for the most likely to draw areas. The problem with that, though, is the most likely to draw areas are oftentimes some of the worst hunting conditions because the game is more pressured because there are more tags available. So just understand there's always a trade-off when making a draw strategy. With that being said, let's go over 2025 and how we are applying in 2025. We're applying for mule deer with 2 points, just in case we get it. It doesn't affect anything else. We're bonus pointing bull elk, and we're applying for cow elk. Now, we're going to assume that you hunt maybe in a hunt party with a few people, right? So mule deer does not hurt your strategy. Bull elk does, because it ruins your odds of drawing cow elk, which is more likely to be drawn with 2 points than bull elk. Horns longer than ears pronghorn, again, we're going to bonus point because it ruins your strategy for drawing something you're more likely to draw, which is horns shorter than ears pronghorn. For California bighorn, Rocky Mountain bighorn, desert bighorn, and desert ewe, we're going to be pretty much bonus pointing the vast majority of the time here. So I'm not going to keep going over that every single time. Bear, we're going to be bonus pointing until the very end. Moose, we're going to be applying the entire time, but it's going to start with 1 bonus point, not 2, because moose is a new hunt. Mountain goat, we're going to be bonus pointing the entire time. Spike elk, we're going to be bonus pointing until after we draw our cow elk tag, and you will see why here soon. All right, so because we assume that we're going to draw the horn shorter tag, we're going to put an H there. And that H is going to help us make assumptions for 2026 and beyond. Once we actually draw in 2025, we will be able to update our 2026 draw strategy. And we will have a good idea of what that draw strategy will look like because we can make reasonable assumptions in 2025 and it doesn't go how we expect. It's no big deal. We'll at least have some idea of what it will look like, and we can just make a very small adjustment when we actually have the real data. So with that being said, let's look at 2026. Bull elk is still pretty low. Same with horns. Sorry, not horns longer. Horns longer is going to be the one that changes because we're going to assume that we draw in 2025, so we're not going to be applying for horn shorter anymore. If we still haven't drawn our horn shorter tag, we're still going to just be bonus pointing for horns longer in 2026. That's the only change that's going to happen, right? So here's how our application is going to go in 2026. Apply for mule deer and assume that we're going to hunt it. Apply for cow elk. Apply for horns longer than ears pronghorn. Bonus point for horn shorter. Pretty much bonus point for everything else except for moose. We're applying for moose, but it's really not going to affect the rest of our draw strategy. We're just applying for it because it's a cool hunt. It's brand new, right? And just in case you don't draw something on here, hey, maybe you draw something else. But why are we not putting in for bull elk? Well, if we have a good chance of drawing cow elk, and one of our friends in our hunt party puts in and applies and gets a bull elk tag by accident, it ruins our chances of drawing cow elk. And because we know that having 4 points gives us really good odds of drawing cow elk, having 3 points isn't that bad a draw odds. Now, we're applying for horns longer than your pronghorn because we're assuming that we don't have any points. So why not at least put in for the hunt if our odds of drawing horn shorter are low, right? Or non-existent. So we're just going to bonus point for horn shorter just to make the strategy simpler and save the extra $3. 2027. Let's look at our draw odds. Probably not going to draw mule deer because we're assuming that we're going to draw in 2026. Again, when we get to 2027, we'll know what happened in 2026. And if we didn't draw mule deer, we'll just update the strategy a little bit. It's not a big deal. Bull elk, we're still going to be bonus pointing because, again, we don't want to affect our chances of drawing cow elk, which are now pretty dang high now that we've had 4 points and we've been applying for 3 years in a row. The odds of not drawing a cow elk tag by the end of 2027 are much lower than 50-50. So we're going to still be applying for horns longer, bonus pointing horns shorter, pronghorn. The rest of these applications have not changed yet. 2028 is where things get kind of crazy. We're still bonus pointing for mule deer by then, but it doesn't matter. We could apply. It really doesn't affect our strategy for anything else if we wanted to apply. Bull elk, we're going to start applying. Why? Because we're not applying for cow elk anymore. Once we draw a cow elk tag, the odds of a bull elk tag in any of our hunting parties reduces. Now, I do not personally party tag for bull elk. I believe that a bull elk tag is one of those tags where I want to get a trophy animal and I don't want to be distracted by one of my buddies having a bull elk tag. But he's more than welcome to apply for his own bull elk tag, and if he doesn't get it, cool, he'll hunt with me. And if he gets it, cool, I'll hunt with him. Either way, doesn't matter to me. I'm going to put in for pronghorn and hopefully get it because I've got 5 points. And again, a pronghorn tag doesn't have the same season as a bull elk. So if my buddy gets a bull elk tag, I'm going to hunt pronghorn, get my pronghorn, and then go help him back out his bull elk tag, right? I'm going to bonus point for shorter because my odds of getting a horns longer tag are so dang high that I don't really feel the need to apply for horn shorter. But you could apply for horn shorter here if you want to and just say, hey, look, the priority's on the pronghorn, horns longer tag. Bighorn sheep, all of this stuff is going to stay the same except for you and spike elk. We're going to start putting in for you. We're going to start putting in for spike elk because just in case we don't draw that horns longer tag, we want a couple other opportunities that we've got some legit points for and possibly hunt, right? And neither you nor spike elk affect your odds of drawing a horns longer than yours pronghorn tag. 2029 through 2031, we're going to call this the years of elk and mule deer. While we are bonus pointing mule deer in 2029, we're still going to be applying for elk. We're going to be applying for bull elk, bonus pointing cow elk. We're going to be in a waiting period for horns longer, so it's not going to be a part of our strategy anymore. Horns shorter, we're going to assume that we're going to hunt it because we have so many points for it, and we have more than 2 points. Bonus point, apply for you, bonus point bear, apply for moose, assume we won't get it, bonus point goat, and we're going to assume that we're going to hunt spike elk in 2029, right? So maybe hunt 2 hunts in 2029, maybe not, who knows? But you at least have really good odds of drawing 2 tags in 2029, more than 50% chance of drawing at least 2 tags in 2029. 2030, we're going to assume that we already drew spike elk, so the focus is going to be on mule deer and bull elk. We're going to assume that there's a 75% chance of drawing a tag for mule deer or bull elk in 2030 and a 75% chance of drawing a tag for mule deer or bull elk in 2031. All I did was just simply apply an H next to the 7 and an H next to the 4 here, just as an example of what could happen. It might not happen exactly that way. Cow elk, we're bonus pointing, then applying for in 2031 because we're assuming that we drew elk, bull elk in 2030. Horns longer, than ears, we're going to be in a waiting period for. Horns shorter than ears, we're going to be bonus pointing because the focus is so heavy on elk and mule deer. Why even do anything other than just build out our points for 2032? Bighorn sheep we'll touch back later on, but we're still applying for those U tags. We're going to start applying for bear. We're going to still be applying for moose, and mountain goat we're bonus pointing, and then we're going to be bonus pointing for spike elk. The reason why we're applying for so many hunts is because bull elk is, such a hit or miss type of hunt. Yes, even though you have 7 points, you still have good chances of drawing. It's so hard to say what exact year you're going to get your bull elk tag that you might as well at least apply for some other things just to increase your odds of getting something. Now, what's important to note is after 2031, we will have assumed that we've already drawn spike elk, that we in a waiting period for bull elk. We're in a waiting period for horns shorter than ears, pronghorns. So the vast majority of the middle of the 2030s, so from 2032 to 2037, are not going to be pronghorn and elk heavy. They're primarily going to be bighorn sheep heavy, applying for mountain goat tags, applying for ewe tags, bear tags, moose tags. Maybe you get a couple of mule deer in there. Maybe you get a couple of horns shorter than the ears elk in there. Maybe you get some cow elk in there sprinkled in there. But the vast majority of those years are going to be for those really low draw odds tags. But now you've got so many points built up for them. Yes, they're low draw odds, but they become a legit part of your hunting strategy going forward into 2032. So hopefully you understand how to build a draw strategy now that you've seen how the odds work. Now you can play around with it as much as you want. It really doesn't matter. You can build this out on an Excel spreadsheet if you want to get more organized than me. I drew this on a whiteboard just to make it easier to erase and do some things and make it a little bit easier to see than an Excel spreadsheet. So I hope that you got some information from this, and I hope it builds your faith in the draw system, helping you understand that if you participate in the draw system with a strategy, the odds of you consistently hunting go up over time. Thank you for watching, and have a great day.